Combining her passion for music with her passion for neuroscience, Supriya is here to talk about healing minds through music. Let's welcome Supriya.
Playing in the video you just saw, I'm here to share with you all my personal experience of using music as a means of treating dementia patients and how effective it really is. But before we begin, I'm sure you all had different thoughts on my piano performance. Some of you might be musicians yourselves or classical music lovers and you enjoyed it. However, for the rest of you, classical music just might not be your thing and you're patiently waiting for it to end, which is okay. However, if this was a piece that you had heard before, and maybe something you're a little bit more familiar with, then I'd probably enjoy my performance a little bit more. This is exactly how dementia patients feel when they hear a song they grew up with. In a matter of seconds, they change from being completely stiff, unresponsive, staring blankly into space, to coming to life. Some of them are unable to remember their own name, but can remember all the lyrics to a song they grew up with. Let's take a moment to talk about how the mind of a dementia patient works. Dementia is not a disease itself, but rather an umbrella term that includes many diseases underneath it. It's a very general term for the decline of mental abilities that interferes with the person's ability to perform everyday tasks. Some of the most common forms of dementia are Alzheimer's, and you can see some of the other forms on the screen behind me. One of the most damaging effects of dementia is the overwhelming death of nerve cells, which are known as neurons. It is the connections between these neurons that results in the formation of a memory, which is known as a synapse. So, as you can imagine, the death of neurons results in the destruction of synapses, which in turn results in an individual's inability to reform memories as well as recall previous ones. The death of neurons also results in a lesser amount of tissue in the brain. And since the brain is made up of tissue, this causes the brain to literally shrink. Over here you can see images of healthy brains compared to brains that are affected by Alzheimer's, and how when they're placed on top of each other, one is significantly smaller than the other. One of the main parts of the brain that is affected by dementia is the hippocampus. And since this part of the brain is directly involved in the formation of memories, you can imagine why memory loss is one of the first parts of the brain to be affected, and one of the first symptoms to be detected in Alzheimer's. Another part of the brain that is first affected by Alzheimer's is the cortex. This is the largest and most complex part of the brain and is involved in reasoning and recollection, which is why these are some of the first two tasks to become impaired in Alzheimer's patients. As the disease progresses, these two parts of the brain, along with several others, begin to shrink and shrivel up, which causes something that is known as ventricles, which are fluid-filled spaces. And over time, these spaces get larger and larger because that's just the way the disease progresses. It gets worse and worse as time passes. In this next slide, you can see how Alzheimer's progresses over time and how over time it takes up pretty much the entire brain. As it turns out, music uses the part of the brain that is most directly affected by Alzheimer's, the cortex. Over here you can see how every single part of the cortex is being used by the musician to play the instrument. To give some more concrete examples, the visual cortex is used in reading music and reading lyrics, and the sensory cortex is used when playing musical instruments. The brain also possesses a characteristic known as neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to change according to stimuli that are presented to it. So, upon repeated exposure to music, the cortex will actually begin to expand, which counteracts exactly what is affected by dementia. By a show of hands, how many of you know someone who is affected by dementia? That's pretty much the entire audience. There are currently about 5.5 million Americans living with Alzheimer's right now. This number is expected to rise to 15 million by 2050. About 500,000 of these people are just in Florida alone. These numbers are only going to keep rising if immediate action is not taken. Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States, and about 1 in 3 seniors dies from Alzheimer's. So what can we do to combat the spread of this disease? One thing we can do is to incorporate mentally stimulating activities into nursing homes and assisted living facilities. It really does work to slow down the progression. I say this from personal experience. Shifting gears a bit, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I took piano lessons for pretty much my whole life. I took up voice lessons in high school, and I was a part of my high school choir for all of high school. My education in music was just as important to me as my academic education. I wanted to pursue both of these alongside each other, and even auditioned for a few music schools, but decided to only focus on academics upon hearing about the honors college. It was after I started my first semester here that I realized how important it was for me to have music in my life. I felt almost depressed, and like an important part of me was missing. I considered transferring and seriously looked into other schools with the intentions of actually leaving this one. And while I do love it here at the Honors College, to my utmost frustration, I was unable to find any serious music-related activities to get involved with. This was until I came across an organization known as Mind&Melody. I learned that this organization used music to help dementia patients. I've been involved with them for a little bit over a year now, and actually completed an internship with them this past summer in Miami. There's 2 things that stood out to me about this organization. The first was that it was started by 2 alumni who graduated from the school, and looking at where the organization is today, I found this very impressive. The second was that they did not just perform for their participants, which is what they referred to their dementia patients as. They actually created music lessons, which they taught to them. They taught them concepts such as music theory, dynamics, tempo, rhythm, conducting, the list can go on and on. They even created a color-coded system, which they used to teach their participants how to play the keyboards. And being a pianist myself, I really appreciated this. One instance in particular that stood out to me happened at a session in Boca. One of our participants was very stiff, unresponsive, and in his more severe stages of Alzheimer's. He had a very strong quiver in one of his hands that prevented him from holding simple objects. We found out that this individual used to be a professional violinist, but due to his Alzheimer's, he had completely stopped playing his instrument, just like many others. So, we brought him a violin to see what would happen. With a little bit of encouragement, he picked up the violin and began to play a piece, flawlessly, without missing a single note. The quivers in his hand went away completely. You would think they didn't even exist. Some of our participants do not have the physical ability to actually respond. Instead, they might just smile. However, this is not just a smile. This smile is an indication that we were able to connect with each other through the powerful medium of music. It's through instances like this that I realized how therapeutic music can actually be, and that it's almost like its own unique form of medicine. Through our music sessions, we provide our participants with the mental stimulation they need in order to slow down the progression of their dementia. It's one thing for me to stand here and tell you about it, it's another thing for you to see it for yourself, which is why I have some videos to share with you all. The first video here is an example of the color-coded system that I mentioned earlier that we use to teach our participants how to play the keyboards. In the next video, we taught our participants note values and allowed them to create a rhythm out of it. So you can see the session leader leading them and copying out the rhythm.
Cue, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wonderful. That was great.
The next video is on dynamics, and dynamics is how loud or soft a piece of music is. So when the session leader raises her hands, the participants get louder in volume. When she lowers her hands back down, they get softer in volume. In the next video, our participants are just singing a simple scale that we taught them.
Exactly, it's like piano.
The next set of videos are instrument demonstrations. And in instrument demonstrations, we like for our participants to experience different types of instruments from different cultures all around the world. So what you can see here is us showing our participants the drums.
Very nice.
We have another instrument demonstration of the mandolin. Our next set of videos are on what our participants probably love to do the most, which is sing and dance. And the first video, I was actually there at the session. It's probably one of my favorite moments ever. We were about to leave, and one of our participants mentioned that Fly Me to the Moon was one of her favorite songs. We had to fulfill her request. We couldn't just leave without singing it for her. So we literally Googled chords and lyrics on the spot and sang it to her as we walked out. And the way she just instantly came to life is incredible. And the last video I have for you all is just one of her participants enjoying herself during the music session. There are 3 aspects to having a successful music session. The first one is to give our participants individualized attention, so they know that we're truly there for them and we really want them to understand the material we're presenting to them. The second aspect is to make the sessions as interactive as possible, to actually give our participants a baton while we're teaching them how to conduct, actually give them a keyboard so that they can play the song on the keyboard. And the last one is to have as much music as possible, because we're Mind&Melody, that's what we do. So one of our favorite ways to conclude our sessions is to sing a song with all of our participants and have everybody involved. Our participants will of course be singing because we'll choose a song that they're familiar with. They'll also be playing the simple instruments such as the maracas and tambourines that we give to them at the beginning of our session. And we also have all of our volunteers involved. Everyone will be singing and everyone will be on their own respective instruments. So, to conclude my speech, I would like to do exactly just that. Except there's a catch. We're not only going to be singing together, I would like to teach you guys a rhythm so you can keep beat as we make music on top of it. So, I'm going to teach you a beat. It consists of 4 parts. For the first part, you're just going to beat your chest. Okay. For the second part, you're going to snap. For the last 2 beats, you're going to clap. So, all together, the beat is going to sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good job. We're going to try it a little bit faster and keep going no matter what happens. Feel free to join in singing, but you should join in. So you're going to be doing 2 things. You're going to be keeping beat and you're also going to be singing with us. On the count of 4, everyone start doing the beat. 1, 2, 3,